Okay, so before we start this class, I wish you Happy Independence Day once more. We will be starting from line number 193 today. I hope your texts are there with you. So today, what we are going to do is actually talk about or read about the huge size of Saturn. We will be talking about the dimensions of Saturn. So without much ado, I think we should move into the text. Line number 193. Does Saturn talking to his nearest mate. Now, who was the nearest mate of Saturn? The nearest mate of Saturn was Beelzebub. Okay, so Saturn was actually talking to Beelzebub. Does Saturn talking to his nearest mate with head uplift above the waves and eyes that sparkling blazed, his other parts besides prone on the flood, extended long and large, lay floating many a rood. Now many a rood money a quarter of an acre. Rood means a quarter, Quarter, a quarter of an acre, ACRE, a quarter of an acre. Okay, lay floating many a rood in bulk as huge as whom the fables name of monstrous size. Now we are about to describe the size of Saturn. Okay, so line number 193. From 193, you can write this point down. You need to write down this point 193. Milton here describes. Milton here describes. Milton here describes the physical size of Saturn. Milton here describes the physical size of Saturn. Milton here describes the physical size of Saturn, who is being compared to, who is being compared to, who is being compared to a monster, being compared to a monster, M-O-N-S-T-E-R, a monster, comma, giant, monster, comma, giant, and mammoth, mammoth, M-A-M-M-O-T-H, mammoth, monster, giant, mammoth, and mythical beings, and mythical, M-Y-T-H-I-C-A-L, mythical, M-Y-T-H-I-C-A-L, mythical beings, B-E-I-N-G-S, mythical beings of fables, mythical beings of fables, F-A-B-L-E-S. Actually, Saturn will be compared to lot of mythological creatures, to some of the gods, some of the monsters that we will be comparing Saturn to. And it starts from line number 193. We will be moving, and in fact, today we will be dealing with the first epic simile. If you remember, in the very first class when we were discussing about the features of an epic, I told you that epic simile is also one of the features of an epic. So today we will be reading about that epic simile, and we will also get an example from Paradise Lost. The first example of Paradise Lost from epic simile, we will be getting it today. Okay, so as we know that Saturn is weltering in the water. Saturn is floating in the water with his head lifted above the water. With his head lifted above the water and his eyes blazing while the rest of his body is in water. Now, definitely, the water that we are talking about is not water, it is molten lava. We find Saturn on the lake of fire. So, if it is a lake of fire, definitely it is not water. Okay. So, now we come to the comparison section. Line number 196. In bulk as huge as whom the fables name of monstrous size. Now comes a comparison. Titanian, Saturn is compared to a Titan, Titanian, or Earthborn that warred on Jove. Now, who is Jove? We very well know that Jove is actually the king of gods. Jupiter's other name is Jove. Briareus or Typhoon. Now, Saturn is being compared to Briareus and Typhoon, whom the den by ancient Tarsus held. Now, let us first write down the meaning of Briareus and Typhoon. Okay, so Saturn is being compared to these two mythical monsters. So, we will be writing down the meaning of these particular, who were these characters and why is Saturn being compared to these characters. We need to write this down. Write it down. Saturn is compared to, write down the point, line number 198 to 200. Line number 198 to 200. Saturn is compared to his classical counterparts. Saturn is compared to his classical counterparts. Saturn is compared to his classical counterparts. Okay. Hyphen, give a hyphen. Write down the names. Briareus, the first name is Briareus, B-R-I-A-R-E-O-U-S. B-R-I-A-R-E-O-U-S. Briareus. Among the Titan. Briareus among, A-M-O-N-G. Briareus among the Titans. So, if you remember, we got a particular word called Titanium. Titanium. Okay. So, this particular character, Briareus, is actually a Titan among the Titans. And Typhon. Typhon. T-H-Y-P-H-O-N. T-H-Y-P-H-O-N. Typhon. Among the giants, Typhon among the giants, Giants, or Earthborn. So we were talking of Titans and we were talking of Earthborn. If you go to line number 198, you will find both these terms in the are used actually in the lines. First one is Titan and the other one is Typhon. So Briareus is a Titan and Typhon is actually a giant or the earth one, earthborn. Okay, full stop. Briareus is a giant with 100 arms. Briareus is a giant with 100 arms. Briareus is a giant with 100 arms. 100 arms, ARMS. And Typhon is a monster. And Typhon is a monster. And Typhon is a monster with 100 serpent heads. Typhon is a monster with 100 serpent heads. Serpent, S-E-R-P-E-N-T. 100 serpent heads, H-E-A-D-S. Full stop. Both Titan and giants, both Titan and giants, both Titans and giants rebelled, R-E-B-E-L-L, ED, rebelled against the established gods. Both Titan and giants rebelled against the established gods. Rebelled against the established gods and were destroyed on account of their ambition and were destroyed on account of their ambition and were destroyed on account of their ambition. Now, this is the meaning of line number 198 to 200. That means Saturn is being compared to Briareus. Saturn is also being compared to Typhoon. And what actually did happen to Briareus and Typhoon? They revolted against the established gods and they were destroyed. Why were they destroyed? Because of their ambition. So when I compare Saturn to these particular characters, it becomes clear that Saturn has met with this downfall because of ambition. And this is the reason why we compare Saturn to Briareus and Typhoon. Both of them met with their downfall only on account of their ambition. It was only because of their ambition with Saturn. And this is the similarity between the two. Okay. So Briareus or Typhoon, whom the den by ancient Tarsus held. Now, whom the den, what do you mean by the word den? Den is actually the name of a particular place. Den here refers to Sicilia. Den here refers to Sicilia. Cilia. Sicilia. Cilicia. Okay, that means the monster Typhon who had serpent heads actually resided in a particular den in Sicilia. So Sicilia is actually the name of a place and Typhon lived in a den which was in Sicilia. So Briareus or Typhon, whom the den by ancient Tarsus held, or that sea beast Leviathan. Now we come to the first epic simile. Okay, let us first go through the lines and then we will talk about it in details. Okay, so or that sea beast Leviathan, which God of all his works created hugest that swim the ocean stream, him happy slumbering on the Norway foam, the pilot of some small night-foundered skiff, deeming some island, oft as seamen tell, with fixed anchor in his scaly rind, R-I-N-D, moors by his side under the lee, while night invests the sea, and wished morn delays. So stretched out huge in length, the arch-fiend lay, chained on the burning lake. So see the comparison. The comparison starts from line number 200. Or that sea beast. The comparison starts from that sea beast. And the comparison ends at line number 210. So it is a 10-lined comparison. And who is being compared to whom? Saturn is being compared to Leviathan. Now what we people need to do is we need to mark these lines from line number 200 to 210 and you have to write beside it that this is the first example of epic simile in Paradise Lost. There are 5 epic similes that we will be dealing with and you can also get a question on epic simile. So if you get a question on epic simile, you need to first define what an epic simile is. And then you will come to the explanation of all those 5 epic similes that you find in Paradise Lost, book 1. So what we will do is, we will start with the definition of epic simile. And you have to remember that Saturn is here being compared to Leviathan. And we are comparing the size of Saturn to the size of Leviathan. Okay. So first we will begin with the definition of epic simile. Write it down. Epic simile are formal and sustained simile. Epic simile are formal and sustained simile in which the secondary subject in the secondary subject in brackets vehicle in bracket vehicle 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 bracket close is developed far beyond is developed far beyond its specific points of parallel to the primary subject within brackets you need to write down tenor, T-E-N-O-R, bracket close, T-E-N-O-R, tenor. Okay, so what do you mean by the tenor? A tenor means the primary subject. And what do you mean by vehicle? Vehicle means the secondary subject. Now, our text Paradise Lost is actually a text that deals with Saturn as a subject. So, who is the primary subject of Paradise Lost? Definitely it is Saturn. Saturn is the primary subject of Paradise Lost. So, I can say, in other words, I can also say, what is the tenor? Who is the tenor in Paradise Lost? Saturn is the tenor. He is the primary subject matter. Now, when I compare Saturn to Leviathan, Leviathan is a secondary subject. And so, Leviathan can also be called a vehicle. So, I suppose this particular concept is clear to you. Primary subject is known as tenor, T-E-N-O-R, because this is the story of Saturn. So, Saturn is the primary subject. But when we talk of secondary subject, here Saturn is being compared to Leviathan. So, the secondary subject is Leviathan. I can also call Leviathan a vehicle of that particular tenor. Okay. Now, this is the first one. The second point is, as you have written down the definition of epic simile, let me again quote that definition. Epic simile are formal and sustained simile. It is a sustained simile. Usually, as I told you before, that you people must go through the chapters, the lectures on figures of speech that I have uploaded on YouTube for a better understanding of what simile, metaphor, transferred epithet are. Okay, so you need to go through that in order to appraise poetry, or in order to kind of praise certain things, or write an analysis of particular poem or prose piece. Okay, you need to have certain tools in your hand. Those figures of speech are actually the tools that you need to have in your hand. Okay, so epic simile is an extended simile. Simile usually is a single line statement. Okay, it's just a single sentence in which you find a simile. Suppose if I say, my beloved is like red, red rose. My beloved is like red, red rose. Full stop. A single sentence. And we find a comparison in this particular sentence. My beloved is being compared to a red rose. And the other feature of simile is it might contain as, like, or so. So, my beloved is like red, red rose. So, there is a comparison. My beloved is being compared to a rose. This is the first point. And the second point is, both the comparisons are linked by the word like, L-I-K-E. So in a particular simile, you will always get a comparison as well as there will be a presence of as, like, or so. As, like, or is not a part of simile. As, like, so. Okay. As, like, or so. Okay. So this is what simile is. But when I say that epic simile is an extended simile, that means the comparison does not end in one line. It extends. And as I told you, this particular comparison spans from line number 200 to 210. It is a extended simile, elongated simile. Okay, who is the subject matter of this particular simile? Definitely the primary subject is Saturn. And the secondary subject is Leviathan. The secondary subject is Leviathan. Now go through the definition of simile are formal and sustained simile in which the secondary subject is developed far beyond its specific points of parallel to the primary subject. That means initially on line number 200, Saturn is being compared to Leviathan. And for the next 9 lines, I do not deal with Saturn. I deal with the secondary subject, that is Leviathan. Who Leviathan was, how big Leviathan was, what usually happened with Leviathan. We are concerned with the secondary subject. That means I am extending the comparison. I am elongating the comparison. The comparison does not end in a single line. I am developing the comparison. I am stretching the secondary subject or the vehicle of that particular comparison. Okay, so in this particular lines, line number 200 to 210, we will find that Leviathan, Saturn is being compared to Leviathan, and then Leviathan is being stretched, is being elongated. We come to know about Leviathan. We come to know about who Leviathan is and what usually happened with Leviathan on the Norwegian foams. Okay, this is what epic simile is all about. Now, the next question that you people can ask me is, who is Leviathan? Okay, so we will go through these lines to have an understanding of who this Leviathan was. Leviathan was actually a sea monster. Okay, let us see. Or that sea beast, Leviathan, which God of all his works created hugest that swim the ocean stream. That means Leviathan is found in oceans. Him happily slumbering on the Norway foam. Who is this him being referred to? Definitely this him is Leviathan. We are talking of Leviathan. Okay. The vehicle, as I told you, the vehicle is being elaborated here. Him happily slumbering. Now, what do you mean by the word happily? Happily means perhaps. Happily here means perhaps. Him happy slumbering. Slumbering means sleeping. On the Norway foam, the pilot of some small night-foundered skiff. Now, what do you mean by a skiff? A small ship. A small ship. Okay. Night-foundered skiff means a ship that has lost its path. A ship that has lost its path in the night. A ship that has lost its path in the night. The pilot of some small night-foundered skiff deeming some island. Now, Leviathan was such a huge creature that mistakenly and unfortunately, the pilot of a particular ship, the ship which has lost its path, definitely needs a kind of a harbor to rest itself for tonight. And the pilot thinks that Leviathan is actually an island. It means that it goes to show the kind of length that Leviathan actually had. This is how huge Leviathan was, that mistakenly, under the guise of night, the captain comes to the conclusion that this particular thing is actually an island. And he throws his anchor onto that island. As readers, we know that this is not an island, this is Leviathan. Such was the huge size of Leviathan. And that is what is being compared here. Saturn's huge size, in order to tell you, in order to explain Saturn's hugeness, Milton draws the comparison, draws his comparison with Leviathan. Okay, so what does the captain do? The captain of that particular lost ship throws his anchor so that they can have rest for that particular night. And what happens? The anchor gets stuck into the scaly rinds of Leviathan. Leviathan was a sea creature, so definitely he has scales on his body. Fish has scales on its body. Similarly, Leviathan also had scales on his body. So the anchor got stuck in his scales. Okay. Now, why are we comparing Saturn to Leviathan? The first point that I mentioned was because of the huge size that both of them actually possessed. The second point that I want to mention here is that Leviathan gives you an impression that it is an island, but it is actually not an island. So Leviathan also stands for deceit, treachery. Leviathan also stands for deceit, D-E-C-E-I-T, deceit. Leviathan also stands for treachery, cheating, because it gives a very wrong, a false impression to the one who beholds him, to the one who sees him in darkness. It gives you the impression of an island, whereas we know that Leviathan is not an island. So Leviathan is also a symbol of deceit and treachery. So now the point becomes very clear. Saturn is being compared to Leviathan for two things. Firstly, for his huge shape and size. And secondly, the qualities that Leviathan possessed. What were those qualities? Deceit and treachery are also possessed by Saturn. Okay. So this is why there is this comparison between Saturn and Leviathan. Okay. So we will come to line number 205. I think the meaning is clear, yet we will read those lines to have a better understanding of it. Deeming, line number 205. Deeming some island, oft as seamen tell, with fixed anchor in his scaly rind, moors by his side under the lee, while night invests the sea. Now the meaning to the particular words will be provided to you, or you will get those meanings, so you don't need to worry about that. The sense is very important, the theme, the understanding of the comparison is more important than the word meanings here. So stretched out huge in length, the Archean lay, chained on the burning lake. Okay. Nor ever thence had risen or heaved his head, but that the will and high permission of all ruling heaven let him at large to his own dark designs, that with reiterated crimes he might heap on himself damnation. Now these lines are actually spoken by none other than Milton himself. And Milton says that it was God who wanted Saturn to be alive. It was God who provided Saturn with the strength to again get up from that lake of fire. If God wanted Saturn to die, God could have easily done so. God could have easily killed Saturn and other angels. But God did not want Saturn and Beelzebub and other angels to die. Okay, so it is God's wish. It is only because of God's wish that Saturn, Beelzebub and other fallen angels could actually rise from that lake of fire. If God wouldn't have wished so, Saturn and Beelzebub would never have been able to get up from that lake of fire and land on the hell. Okay, on the soils of hell. Okay. So why did God not kill Saturn completely? God could have easily, since God is omnipresent, all powerful, omnipotent, so God could have killed Saturn. So why does God not kill Saturn? Why keep this particular person alive when God knows that he will perpetually be creating mischief? Okay, that Saturn will be creating a perpetual mischief. God knows this very well. So why does God want Saturn to stay alive? The main reason behind this is that the more Saturn indulges in crime or evil, the more evil Saturn does, God will actually punish him more by inviting, he will actually punish himself more by inviting damnation in hell. Okay, the more wrongs you do, you will have to suffer for that particular wrong of yours. Okay, you have to suffer. So Saturn, whatever he does, if he does good, definitely the fruit that he will receive will also be fruitful, good. But Saturn will never indulge in good deeds. So definitely, the more evil he does, the more damnation he receives. Okay. Now the point here is this. Uh, as I told you, that when we were comparing Saturn to Leviathan, Leviathan had certain features of deceit and treachery, of cheating. And Saturn too possesses that particular quality of treachery, of deceit. And why do we say so? Because we have all gone through that particular episode in the Old Testament, in the book of Genesis, where we find that Saturn, in the guise of a serpent, actually tempts, actually deceives Eve, the mother of mankind. So the quality of deception, the quality of treachery, the quality of deceit is very much present in Saturn. And this is also one of the reasons. Uh, what we are trying to say here is that the comparison of Saturn with Leviathan is not only physical. Physical comparison is there. Leviathan is huge. Saturn is also. But you also have a moral comparison. You also have a moral comparison. And when I say moral comparison, that means I am also talking of certain qualities. And what are those qualities? That is deceit and treachery. So this comparison with Leviathan is a physical comparison as well as a moral comparison. Okay. Okay. So as I was telling you, so why does God not kill or completely demolish Saturn? Because according to God, if Saturn does evil, he will heap on himself more damnation. Okay. Now, there is this philosophy called permissive evil. You can write this down. Line number 209 to 220. Line number 209 to 220. I am giving you certain lines that you need to write down. Line number 209 to 220. These lines, these lines project, these lines project, these lines project the poet's strong assertion, the poet's strong assertion, the poet's strong assertion, A-S-S-E-R-T-I-O-N, assertion of God's power, assertion of God's power, full stop. But for the will and permission of God, but for the will and permission of God, comma, Saturn would never have recovered from his fall. Saturn would never have recovered. Saturn would never have recovered from his fall. Saturn would never have recovered from his fall. Full stop. This recovery was allowed to Saturn this recovery was allowed to Saturn only to let him pursue his evil design, only to let him pursue his evil design, and eventually witness and eventually witness and eventually witness how God would turn, how God would turn, TURN, how God would turn all evil into good. How God would turn all evil into good. Full stop. Here Milton, 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 advances the theory. Here Milton advances the theory. Here Milton advances the theory of permissive evil, of permissive, PERMISSIVE, of permissive evil, within single quotes, permissive evil, whereby God allows the wicked, WICKED, God allows the wicked to advance to his own destruction. God allows the wicked to advance to his own destruction. Okay. Now we come back to the lines that we were reading. Okay. And high permission of all ruling heaven, let him at large to his own dark designs, that with reiterated crimes, reiterated means repeated crimes, he might heap on himself damnation, while he sought evils to other, and enraged might see how all his malice served but to bring forth, malice means ill will, but to bring forth infinite goodness. The kind of wrong that Saturn is actually doing, Saturn will actually, God will provoke Saturn, because the more Saturn commits evil, God will do good. Okay, and when Saturn sees that God is actually inverting what Saturn is trying to do, Saturn is trying to wrong each and everything and each and every one. But if from every bad situation, God will always bring out something good. And this will actually make Saturn more resentful towards God, more angry towards God. ठीक है? तो सैटर्न जितने भी बुरे काम करने हैं उसको करने दो. सैटर्न भगवान उन बुरे कामों को अच्छा कर देगा. सैटर्न बुरा करने की कोशिश करेगा, भगवान उसी बुराई में से कुछ अच्छा करने की कोशिश करेंगे. इससे सैटर्न और गुस्सा होगा और जलेगा. उसकी पनिशमेंट मतलब आप दूसरों का बुरा करेंगे तो आप भी जलेंगे उस आग में. ठीक है? I don't exactly remember, but there was a poem by William Blake about some apple. मेरे को याद नहीं आ रहा उस पोएम का नाम, कि एक एप्पल के ऊपर वो पोएम थी. ठीक है? I will come back to that poem in our next class. मैं नाम तुम लोगों को बताऊंगा. You can go through that particular poem of William Blake. ठीक है? तो सैटर्न जितना बुरा करने की कोशिश करेगा, भगवान उतना अच्छा करेंगे और सैटर्न और जलेगा. Infinite goodness, grace, and mercy shown, on man by him seduced, but on himself treble confusion, wrath, and vengeance poured. ठीक है? Whatever evil he does to others, he will receive it thrice. ठीक है? মানে ও যত বাজে করবে অন্য লোকে, उससे ज्यादा thrice उसका बुरा होने वाला है. अच्छा, ठीक है. Now Saturn is actually trying to move out of that particular lake, and herein we come to another example of epic simile. We will jump a bit because these lines are not that important, and if we go through Paradise Lost line by line, if we kind of try to do that, I think Paradise Lost will be the only text to have been completed in this semester for yours. Okay, so I think we need to jump a bit and come to some of the main sections of this particular text. So now we come to line number 230 to 237, and we will write it down. We will write down the epic simile. Okay, the first epic simile was that of Leviathan. Now we come to the second epic simile, which starts from line number 230 and it ends at 237. Okay, so let us first write down this particular epic simile. So the second epic simile that we find in line number 230 to 237, we can write it down. Exactly, Poshali. The name of that particular poem was A Poison Tree. The name of that particular tree was A Poison Tree by William Blake. You can go through this particular poem and you will find whatever we are kind of discussing here, you will find a reference to this particular poem, A Poison Tree by William Blake. Okay. Now coming to line number 230 to 237, we can write it down. It is the second instance of epic simile. It is the second instance of epic simile. It is the second instance of epic simile where the bank of the burning lake, where W-H-E-R-E, where the bank of the burning lake, where the bank of the burning lake. Now Saturn has actually descended on the land of hell. And when he lands on that particular land, that land is also burning. So this comparison refers to that particular thing. It is the second instance of epic simile where the bank of the burning lake is compared to the burnt bottom, is compared to the burnt B-U-R-N-T, is compared to the burnt bottom B-O-T-T-O-M, bottom, is compared to the burnt bottom of a volcano, burnt bottom of a volcano after eruption, burnt bottom of a volcano after eruption, E-R-R-U-P-T-I-O-N. E-R-R-U-P-T-I-O-N, eruption, full stop. It was believed that sudden blast of underground winds, it was believed that sudden, S-U-D-D-E-N, sudden blast, B-L-A-S-T, of underground winds, sudden blast of underground winds, W-I-N-D-S, winds, caused volcanoes to erupt, caused volcanoes to erupt, E-R-U-P-T, caused volcanoes to erupt, semicolon. An example is, Mount Etna, E-T-N-A, Mount Etna in Sicily, Mount Etna, E-T-N-A, in Sicily, S-I-C-I-L-Y, Sicily. Okay, so this is the comparison. He compares that burning land to the burnt bottom of a volcano. ठीक है, वॉल्केनो का बॉटम जितना गर्म होता है, वैसे ही ये जो लैंड है जहां पर सैटर्न उस लेक से निकल के खड़ा हुआ है ऑन द बैंक्स ऑफ द लेक, बर्निंग लेक, वो भी उतना ही गर्म है जितना कि वो लेक गर्म है. और कंपैरिजन क्या है, इतना गर्म है, वो जमीन इतनी गर्म है जिसपे सैटर्न ने लैंड किया है कि उसको कंपेयर किया गया है बर्न्ड बॉटम ऑफ अ वॉल्केनो के साथ. ठीक है, this is the comparison that we have here. Now we move forward a bit. Him followed his next mate. Okay, Saturn landed on that particular place, and following him, उसके पीछे पीछे Beelzebub too landed on that particular place, both glorifying to have escaped the Stygian floods. Now, what do you mean by the word Stygian? You need to write down the meaning of Stygian too. Stygian is from Styx. Stygian is from Styx, S-T-Y-X. Stygian is from Styx, S-T-Y-X, which means of hell, which means of hell, H-E-L-L. H-E-L-L. Full stop. Styx is one of the four rivers. Styx is one of the four rivers in hell. Styx is one of the four rivers in hell. Okay. Now, Saturn and Beelzebub are of the opinion that they have managed to cross the lake of fire and come to this particular place because of their own strength and stamina. But as readers, we know that Milton has just mentioned a bit earlier that it was only because of God that these people are still alive. But Saturn and Beelzebub think that it is because of their inherent strength that they have succeeded in doing so. Okay, so that is the reason they are very happy. We have not yet lost that strength that we had, but they don't know that God has actually not taken away that strength, and it is only because of God that they are alive and on this particular land. Okay. Him followed his next mate, both glorifying to have escaped the Stygian flood as gods and by their own recovered strength. They think that it is their own recovered strength. They don't know that it is God's will. And not by the sufferance of supernal power. Not by the sufferance. Now, what do you mean by sufferance? Sufferance here means permission. It is not because of the permission of God that we are here. It is only because of our strength. This is what Saturn and Beelzebub think. Sufferance here means permission of supernal power. Supernal means heavenly power. And now again starts the speech of Saturn. This is the speech of Saturn that we will be reading now. Is this the region? This the soil that climbed, said then the lost archangel. Now Saturn is actually comparing his earlier state of abode with this particular present state of abode where he is staying now. So that is the reason why. Is this the region, this the soil that climbed, this the seat that we must change for heaven? This mournful gloom, just look around. What a kind of an exchange we had. We exchanged hell for heaven. Where have we come? There is no celestial light here, which we had in heaven. For that celestial light, be it so. Since, अच्छा, be it so, अब जहाँ है अब क्या किया जा सकता है? And since he, who now is sovereign, can dispose and bid what shall be right. Actually, who has won the battle? God has won the battle, so he is sovereign and he will decide where he needs to put his war captives. Farthest from him is best. एक तरफ से अच्छा ही है, भगवान से जितना दूर रहेंगे उतना अच्छा है. Whom reason hath equaled. Now, our thinking capability and God's thinking capabilities are at par. We too possess the same reasoning power that God actually possesses. It is only the inferiority of our force, of our weapons, that we lost the battle. And God is superior only by that particular force, not by reason. Because in reason we both are the same. Whom reason hath equalled, force hath made supreme above his equal. So Saturn considers that this is actually Saturn's third speech, if I am not wrong. Saturn thinks that in reason they are at par with God. But when it comes to force, it is God who rules the roost, because God is far stronger than we people actually are. So we can actually write down something or let it be. I will provide you with the notes to this. Okay. So fear will happy feels. Now, whom does he refer to as happy feels? Definitely Saturn calls heaven the happy field because happiness resides in heaven. So fear will happy feels. This is also an example of apostrophe. This is an impassioned address made to someone. When you address someone, that becomes an example of apostrophe. So here, happy feels is an example of apostrophe. Where joy forever dwells. Now, forever joy dwells in heaven. Hail horrors, hail, infernal world, and thou profoundest hell, receive thy new possessor. So we are now the possessor of hell. We now possess hell. Okay, we have lost heaven and we possess hell. Now, the thing that we need to talk about here is that according to Saturn, it is better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven. We would rather be the owner, the possessor of a particular place than be the servant of God. And Saturn is quite happy with this kind of predicament of his. Though it is hell, though there is a kind of a physical torture as well as a moral, as well as a psychic torture that they are going through, but there is one consolation for Saturn. At least they can rule here. They are far away from God, and God will not do anything to them now. Okay. One who brings, receive thy new possessor, one who brings a mind not to be changed by place or time. Now, I will not change my decision. I am as constant as the pole star. The mind is its own place and can make a, and in itself can make a heaven of hell and a hell of heaven. This line is an example of chiasmus. Chiasmus means the subject. If you see the whole sentence, you will find that heaven is placed in the subject position before the comma. And after the comma, you find that heaven has moved to the object position. And hell, which was in the object position, has moved to the subject position. So this is an example of chiasmus. C-H-I-A-S-M-U-S. Chiasmus is also a figure of speech. To give you a very... fear is foul and foul is fear. Beauty is truth, truth beauty. Ram chahe, Leela chahe Ram. Okay, so chiasmus. So can make a heaven of hell and a hell of heaven. What matter? Where if be still the same and what I should be or all but less than he, whom thunder hath made greater. That means Saturn knows quite well that it is only because of thunder that God has actually defeated the angels. Here at last we shall be free. The Almighty hath not built here for his envy, will not drive us hence. Here we may reign secure, and in my choice, to reign is worth ambition though in hell. It's better to rule in hell. Leave the heaven for God. Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. Okay, so this line is also an example of antithesis. Two antithesis means two opposite ideas are placed side by side. Better to reign in hell. The opposite of hell is heaven. The antithesis means two opposite ideas. So better to rule in hell is one idea. And the opposite idea is than serve in heaven. Okay. But wherefore let we then, our faithful friends, the associates and co-partners of our laws, lie thus astonished on the oblivious pool. Our co-partners in crime are still in an unconscious state. So let us first kind of help them to get up from their present predicament. ठीक है, बाद बाकी फॉलन एंजल्स अभी भी सोए हुए हैं, अनकॉन्शियस हैं, तो उनको जगाते हैं पहले and call them not to share with us their part in this unhappy mansion, or once more with rallied arms, उन लोगों को पहले जगाएंगे and again we will try to regain heaven. With rallied arms to try what may be yet regained in heaven, हम लोग डिस्कस करेंगे कि कैसे भगवान को हराया जाए, and what more lost in hell. ठीक है, we will talk about our present predicament, but before we do that, before we discuss about our present predicament, we should rather help our fellow angels, fellow fallen angels to get up from their state, from their unconscious state, and then we will discuss what is to be done. So this is the third speech of Saturn that we have. So we will stop here at line number 270. Line number 270. And from next day onwards, we will take on certain portions which are more important. We will deal with epic similes. We dealt with two. The third one is just on the way. We will be discussing about Galileo and his telescope and this and that. And Saturn's shield will also be compared to the moon. We will deal with epic similes, and we will deal with the names of fallen angels, and then we jump to the building of pandemonium. The building of pandemonium. Pandemonium is actually the name of a palace that was built in hell. We will discuss about the building of pandemonium. So these are some of the points that we need to deal with. We need to deal with Saturn's speeches, which are very important. We will deal with, next day we will deal with Beelzebub's speech. Then we move on to epic similes that we have, the names of fallen angels, and the building of pandemonium. These are 4 or 5 topics that we need to cover from Paradise Lost, the remaining Paradise Lost. And after we do this, we move on to our next text. It's a kind of advice to you people to try to read the text. Do not go after criticisms. Do not read criticisms first. Go through the text. Try to form your own opinion about the text, and then compare your opinion to the opinion of other critics. Because what happens is, when we try to read criticisms, what happens is we do not read the whole text and we move into criticism. We form opinions by reading the critic's opinion. You need to form your own opinion by reading the text first. But what happens usually or generally nowadays is we tend to skip the text and move to the critic's opinion, and our answer is filled with critic's opinion, which does not reflect what I kind of think about this particular text. Okay, so you need to form your own opinion, and forming your opinion can only come when you go through the text. Then only new ideas will come to your mind. Okay, so with this we will be ending our discussion for today. We will again be meeting next Saturday, and again I wish you once again a happy Independence Day. This is the 74th Independence Day that we are celebrating, and I think that the greatest freedom that awaits us now is freedom from Corona. That is the biggest freedom that we require now, and I wish that we see the vaccines being circulated in the market as soon as possible for everyone to get well soon. Okay, so with this we end this discussion. Thank you. Have a nice evening.